All right, we're rolling. I'm here on the side of the road between change, and I'll just give you an example of where I'm at. Here, you're on the side of the road, and change. And I get to thinking about the irony that, I can live off $200 to $300 a month. And the majority of people I run into can't even fathom it, And I guess it's just because we're so conditioned to this domesticated, normal life. And I get it, raising kids and all that. But, I've met people that have raised their kids in schoolies, or they've raised their kids, they've built their own cabin. I've seen all of that, man. And it's funny to me because it's like, when you talk about these sort of things, like the fact of how the futility of most people's daily existence. Think about this for a second. Let's say I bum $200-$300 in one day, because I'm good at this. I can live off a whole month for me off about $200, $300 if I'm going crazy. In fact, honestly, less if I subtract the food and I just hit up a food mag. Now, I'm not recommending that for everybody, mind you. But the majority of people I run into, they work all day, give up the majority of their life, so they can pay for a box that has a toilet, shower, and a place to, sleep. Maybe a little entertainment. And to some degree, whether it's a rental or a mortgage, you give up the majority of your life for something that's vastly overpriced for really what it is. But my old van, an 88 Econoline, for all the people that would be like, oh my God, you're in a van. Yeah, but at the end of the day, if I go out and if I get a job and I'm making money doing, whether it's trucking or something, that's one of my rules. I am not going to go out there and take a job that basically just takes all of my money to give to somebody to pay rent. I'm not going to do that. That is they talk about, the mark of insanity is just repeating that sort of process. A process fails, and you just do it again, again, and again. By the way, this is what I'm doing right now. Bum for change. Gas mine. But that futility of it. And that's what we're conditioned to do. Rent, utilities, or a mortgage. And then the whole system of you getting a car and spending the majority of your life driving back and forth to work, giving away hours of your life. That's your life. That's your life. This may seem shameful to a lot of you. But shouldn't you feel ashamed when you go out and give up the majority of your working life just so you can do it again next month? I mean, if you're going to give money to somebody, you should own what you're getting. Really own it. I'm not talking about a mortgage. I'm talking about, you go out there and you work hard, live as efficiently as possible, and then go pay cash for something. You buy a car, you pay cash. You buy land, you pay cash. Whatever you're doing, you just make one payment and you own it. That's how it should be. But instead, we've got people so domesticated that they could somehow rationalize running on a fucking hamster wheel with a little turbine, a little generator on it for banks, insurance companies, hell, big oil, big auto. And they'll rationalize this because, this is normal. You know what was normal in the Aztec Empire? To tear people's hearts out? Because the gods needed their fuel. Needed that manna. It was normal for God knows how long for young men to be shipped off, barely 18, barely out of high school, if that, the dying wars for stupid shit. You know how many things in the world we have gotten past? Now, I'm not saying, UBI tomorrow, although once the robots are doing everything, I think it's kind of inevitable. I'm not saying no UBI for everybody forever. But what I am saying is housing should be affordable. Like, you think about that one for a second. You got big buildings that got nothing going on in them. Why can't we build sliver-sized apartments? Storage unit-sized rooms. You have a gym, showers, a sauna. You got the men's house and the women's house and the whatever house. To where you, as a young person, can actually get ahead. And I think we're getting back to that. And by the way, you got to see what's making this noise. Dude, look at that. That is a loud ass truck right there. Nice truck too. I don't know if that thing's fucking muffled. See, where they say no compression brakes, no Jake brakes or whatever without muffles or whatever that camera what they call it. Usually the exhaust brakes have to have basically a muffler. Some of these guys, I know they ain't got no mufflers on them motherfuckers. But what I'm getting at overall is, it blows my fucking mind. When I just sometimes, it's so normal that just every once in a while you just got to sit back and really think, hey, wait a minute. Most of these people are going to work and give most of their money away to a bank, to a car payment, mortgage, whatever, something. And once you get to the end of your life, they replace the usual payments of house, and hopefully you got a car or two that's paid off, with health insurance. Like, health insurance becomes your new god. I just think it's fucking nuts. And even if you don't have health, even if it's not health insurance, it's the taxes for the NHS, and then hoping that Social Security is enough while they're inflating the dollar. Talk about a fucking futile existence. That's part of the reason I always talk about minimalism. Live as cheap as possible, pay cash for property, cash for land. Maybe get an RV or build yourself a tiny home. Invest when you're young. But as long as the system's going to be as screwed up as it is, you might as well be making money off of it. It ain't much, but I'm making money. I'll make over $200, maybe $250 today, maybe more. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe a gay sugar daddy will come along. I'm just joking. I had a lesbian couple give me $100, like $100 bill, a few weeks ago when I was bumming back up in Washington. And another guy, this dude just rolls up, gives me $100 a day after that. So that happens, And then the other day, this couple gave me like 520s. A lady gave me a 50 the other day. I got a 50 earlier. 20s. I got 25 and ones earlier. I was doing the forbidden jutsu. I was shaking my ass, shaking my booty. But yeah, man, I just think about it. I just think about these sort of things. And what's funny about all of it? I guess it's a closing thought. Because most people are so geared towards peacocking, fashion, minimum payments, and that's just normal. That's part of the reason I can get ahead as fast as I can when I actually work. Because I'm not trying to keep up with the Joneses. But sometimes I feel like Habakkuk talking about this stuff. The idea that you see the problems and you look up at God and say, God, why don't you do something about this? And maybe this is just the trials and tribulations that people have to go through. People live comfortably like this until they crash and burn. And then everything will reset. But I kind of agree with what other people said. Oh, you waking up, doggo? Let me get a picture of doggo. Waking up, doggo. Doggo! But I kind of get the feeling that America isn't really going to crash at all. I think it's just going to come slowly. The standards of everything are just going to get worse and worse. Everything's going to become blah poo. I'm not the first to say that. Aaron Cleary pointed that out. Everything's going to become slower, worse. Planned obsolescence, shittier. I mean, I was looking at some bungees I bought at like Napa, and they're not even 3 months old. And when they do that thing where they crack, like you pull them and you can see these cracks in them. And it wasn't even a month of owning them and you could see that. I remember when I was a kid, those rubber bungees like that. Those rubber bungees, they wouldn't do that. They were just better quality, better everything. So what I'm getting at with that is, you'll get stuff, you'll get money, but either the money you get won't buy much of anything, or what you do buy will be complete shit. So at some point, even if you keep on playing society's game, unless you manage to get something paid off, and I'm not a huge fan of houses, I'm not. I like raw land. I like raw land, water, and food, vans, or RVs. I'd like tiny homes, but fuck, you gotta leave a tiny home somewhere. That's just something somebody can break in if you want to travel. You get something paid off and get investing when you're young, because otherwise, I'm sorry, man. That little fucking participation booby prize trophy called Social Security ain't gonna buy you shit. You better have something figured out. Anyhow, y'all take it easy. Peace.